It's June the 1st, 2025, and there's a fresh breeze blowing through southern Africa, specifically from Windhoek. Namibia has a new president, folks, and they're not just here to cut ribbons and attend fancy dinners. No, this leader is talking about big things, really big things. We're talking about African dignity, about standing tall on the world stage, and about working with other African nations to make it happen. The new president of Namibia, whose inauguration earlier this year was watched with keen interest across the continent, has made it abundantly clear that their agenda is deeply rooted in Pan-African ideals. They've spoken passionately about the need for African nations to define their own destinies, free from external pressures and manipulations. This isn't about isolating Namibia, quite the opposite. It's about building stronger, more equitable partnerships, starting with those on the African continent itself. The vision is one of a united Africa, where shared challenges are met with collective strength and resources are leveraged for the benefit of all its people. Namibia's president has openly admired the courage and conviction shown by leaders like Traoré, suggesting a new era of solidarity is dawning. This new energy from Windhoek promises a future where African nations are not just participants but powerful architects of their own progress and prosperity. Now let's talk about Captain Ibrahim Traoré. This young leader in Burkina Faso has become something of a phenomenon, hasn't he? He stepped into power in September 2022, and ever since he's been making waves. People across Africa, and even in the diaspora, look at him and see a symbol of defiance against neo-colonialism, a deep commitment to African dignity, and an unwavering belief in African sovereignty. He's not your typical politician. He's a military man who speaks plainly and acts decisively. Captain Traoré's rise is particularly significant when you consider the challenges Burkina Faso has been facing. In this context, Traoré's leadership is seen by many as a breath of fresh air, a sign that Burkinabe people are determined to take control of their own destiny. His appeal isn't just limited to Burkina Faso, his actions and stance are echoing far beyond his country's borders. So, what exactly has Captain Traoré been doing that's got everyone talking? Well, his government hasn't been shy about making some pretty bold moves. One of the first things that caught international attention was the push to expel foreign military influences that were seen as not serving Burkina Faso's best interests. This was a clear statement: we will handle our own security, thank you very much. Then there's the economy. Traoré's government has taken steps towards nationalizing key assets like gold mines. It's about saying these resources belong to the people of Burkina Faso, and the benefits should stay here to build our country. Another fascinating initiative is the elevation of indigenous languages to official status. By giving prominence to indigenous languages, Traoré's government is not just promoting cultural pride, it's making governance more accessible to all citizens. These policies paint a clear picture. Captain Traoré is aiming for a fundamental restructuring of Burkina Faso's relationship with the world and its own resources and identity. Beyond the headline-grabbing moves like expelling foreign influences and nationalizing mines, Captain Traoré's government is also deeply focused on the nuts and bolts of nation-building. You can't achieve true sovereignty without empowering your people, and that starts with education. There's a significant emphasis on improving the education system, making it more relevant to the country's needs. This includes a focus on technology, which is crucial for any nation looking to compete and thrive in the 21st century. Economic empowerment is another cornerstone of their strategy. It's not enough to just claim resources, you need to create opportunities for your citizens to benefit from them. This means fostering job creation, particularly for the youth. There's a drive to develop agriculture, making the country more food self-sufficient. Furthermore, investments in infrastructure like roads and energy are vital for connecting communities and powering economic activity across the nation. Traoré's government, by prioritizing education, job creation, and local economic empowerment, is demonstrating a commitment to unlocking the immense potential of the Burkinabe people. The actions being taken in Burkina Faso under Captain Traoré are not just isolated events, they tap into a much deeper, continent-wide yearning for dignity. For centuries, Africa has endured the indignities of slavery, colonialism, and neo-colonialism. The fight for dignity is about reclaiming self-worth, asserting equality on the global stage, and demanding respect for African peoples, cultures, and sovereignty. Traoré's bold defiance and his focus on self-reliance are seen by many as a powerful affirmation of this fight. His initiatives directly challenge the old narratives that portrayed Africa as perpetually dependent or incapable of managing its own affairs. When a leader stands up and says, "We will control our resources, we will prioritize our languages, we will secure our nation," it sends a ripple of empowerment across the continent. This is why his message resonates so strongly, from West Africa to the Caribbean. The call for reparative justice, which is gaining momentum globally, is intrinsically linked to this fight for dignity. Traoré's pursuit of economic independence and sovereignty for Burkina Faso aligns perfectly with the broader demand for reparations. Leaders like Traoré are reminding the world, and more importantly, reminding Africans themselves of the continent's inherent strength, resilience, and right to a dignified existence. The struggles we're seeing today, championed by leaders like Captain Traoré and supported by allies such as Namibia's new president, are part of a long, often arduous historical continuum, Africa's enduring quest for true freedom and dignity. If you look back, you see figures and movements that laid the groundwork for today's efforts. Think of the Haitian Revolution, a monumental victory of enslaved people over their oppressors. Consider the Pan-Africanist thinkers and leaders like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, who famously declared, "Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Africa." Nkrumah understood that political independence was only the first step. True liberation required economic independence, cultural renaissance, and continental unity. The challenges may evolve, the faces may change, but the fundamental goal, true freedom and dignity for African people, remains constant. The year is 2025, and one of the most exciting developments on the African continent is the renewed emphasis on solidarity among its leaders and peoples. The collaboration brewing between Namibia's new forward-thinking president and Captain Traoré of Burkina Faso is a prime example of this trend. It signals a recognition that while each nation faces its unique challenges, many of the overarching problems, economic vulnerability, external interference, the quest for true sovereignty, are shared. This spirit of solidarity is not just about political posturing, it's about practical cooperation. It could mean sharing best practices in governance, supporting each other in international forums, or even collaborating on economic projects that benefit entire regions. When African leaders stand together, their collective voice is much harder to ignore on the global stage. Unity provides a shield against divisive strategies. The Dominica Reparation Committee's call for Caribbean communities to commemorate Traoré's achievements underscores this transnational solidarity. This interconnectedness is powerful, showing that the fight for justice and self-determination transcends geographical boundaries. The partnership between Namibia and Burkina Faso could serve as a powerful model for other African nations. A crucial thread running through these contemporary movements for African dignity and sovereignty is the increasingly vocal and organized call for reparative justice. This isn't a new demand, but it's gaining unprecedented momentum in 2025, with leaders like Captain Traoré and initiatives like the Reparations Commission bringing it to the forefront of international discourse. The argument is simple yet profound. Centuries of slavery, colonialism, and exploitation have inflicted immeasurable harm and created deep-seated inequalities that continue to affect nations in Africa and the Caribbean today. Justice requires that these historical wrongs be acknowledged and addressed in tangible ways. Captain Traoré's actions in Burkina Faso, particularly the nationalization of resources and the expulsion of exploitative foreign influences, are seen by many as a form of self-reparation. The Dominica Reparation Committee's solidarity with Traoré explicitly links Burkina Faso's pursuit of justice with the Caribbean's call for reparative justice. The Reparations Commission has laid out a comprehensive plan, seeking apologies, debt cancellation, investment in health and education, and support for cultural institutions. The growing solidarity on this issue suggests that the demand for reparative justice will only grow stronger until it is met with meaningful action. As we look towards the future from our vantage point in June 2025, the path for Africa is one that demands immense resilience, unwavering unity, and a steadfast commitment to sovereignty. The journey is far from over, and the challenges remain significant. Captain Traoré's own experience, reportedly surviving numerous assassination attempts, is a stark reminder of the powerful forces, both internal and external, that resist transformative change. Yet, it is precisely this resilience, this refusal to be deterred, that serves as an inspiration. Traoré's government, despite these threats, continues to push forward with its agenda focused on education, economic empowerment, and the assertion of national sovereignty. This determination, echoed by the new leadership in Namibia and by countless activists and citizens across the continent, is the engine driving Africa towards a future of its own making. The call for collective action and solidarity, as emphasized by groups like the Dominica Reparation Committee, is paramount. The struggles for dignity, for reparations, for true independence, cannot be won by isolated efforts. The collaboration between Namibia and Burkina Faso represents this vital principle in action. Ultimately, the dream is of a sovereign Africa, a continent that is master of its own destiny, where its vast resources benefit its own people, and where its voice is heard and respected